The banking app on my phone refreshed, showed a loan inquiry in my name, and I stayed quiet so my hands would not shake. My stepmother smiled across the dinner table like it was a joke, but why would a lender be looking at me now? My name is Raina, I am 29 and I am an Army combat medic. I live by checklists, not feelings. In the field, panic kills people. At home, panic drains accounts. That night, the smell of roasted chicken still clung to my sleeves when Diane, my stepmother, tilted her wineglass and said she was proud of how responsible I was. Then she laughed and added that my military savings was basically family security, like it was a community pantry. My father, Grayson, did not correct her. He just stared down at his plate and kept cutting the same piece of meat into smaller and smaller squares. I did not raise my voice. I did not slam my chair back. I looked at my father and said, calm, clear, almost gentle, if I hear one more word about my money, there will not be any polite conversations left. Deanne froze with her fork halfway to her mouth. My father blinked like he had been woken up mid-dream. In their faces, I saw it, not anger, not surprise. Fear. The kind that shows up when people realize the person they have been using has finally learned where the off switch is. 3 days later, I was back on base, the air smelling like disinfectant and floor wax. I sat on my bunk with my laptop open and my boots lined up under the bed like they had been inspected. Every Sunday morning, other people scroll videos. I run audits. It started when I was a kid and privacy in my house meant nothing. Now it is muscle memory. Log in, verify, screenshot, log out. Everything looked normal until I reached the bottom of my credit report and saw a fresh, hard inquiry from a lender I had never heard of. The kind that advertises fast cash, no questions, and life-ruining interest. My throat went dry. Not because of the money, because of the timing. That inquiry was made less than 2 days after that dinner. I called my father. He answered too fast, like he had been holding the phone in his hand. Dad, I said, why is a high-risk lender running my credit? He exhaled in a shaky little rush. Raina, it is nothing. Diane was looking at some options. You know, refinancing ideas, investments, all that. She probably clicked something by accident. Accident, the word tasted like old lies. Diane did not click anything by accident. She alphabetizes her spice rack and labels leftover containers with dates. If she wanted something, she got it. Quietly, efficiently, with a smile. I did not argue with him. I did not ask him to swear. I ended the call and stared at the screen until my eyes started to burn. A memory walked up behind me like a shadow I had tried to outrun. I was 16, sitting at the kitchen counter doing homework while Diane stood over a notebook. She was not yelling. She was calm, almost tender as she wrote numbers in neat columns. Power bill, grocery bill, water. She glanced at me like I was a receipt. Do you know how expensive it is to keep another human alive? She asked, still writing. I remember the way my stomach dropped because I realized she was counting me. Not loving me, counting me. Later, when I found that notebook by accident, I saw it clearly. Shoes, school supplies, field trip fee, dentist copay. She had tracked my childhood like debt, and in her mind, debt always gets collected. That was when the cold part of my anger clicked into place. Diane was not joking at dinner. She was testing language, normalizing it. My money as family money. My discipline as her future cushion. My silence as permission. I opened a new tab and typed the lender name from the inquiry. The website popped up bright and cheerful, like it was selling vacations instead of traps. I clicked login, then typed my email address. The site recognized it instantly. My heart gave one heavy thud, because I had never created an account with them, which meant someone had, in my name. I clicked forgot password. My phone buzzed almost immediately with a code. Whoever set up the account had used my email, but the recovery method was my number. That was Diane, always bold enough to use the real keys, convinced I would never check the lock. I reset the password and got in. The dashboard loaded and my mouth went numb. Loan approved. $50,000, pending disbursement. There was a little green check mark beside it like it was a good thing. I did not cry. I did not rage. I clicked through the documents the way I click through medical charts, searching for the one line that explains why a patient is dying. There it was, an electronic signature page that claimed I had signed. The date was mid-October. The time was early afternoon. The document included a digital audit trail, the kind most people never notice because it looks like boring technical filler. But I notice filler. Filler is where the truth hides. The audit trail listed the device information and the internet address used to sign. A static address. One I recognized instantly because I had set it up for my father years ago when he kept calling me to fix his home internet. It was their house, their network, their signature. And on that afternoon, I had been in a field clinic overseas, pressing gauze into a young soldier's thigh while he tried not to scream. My hands hovered over the keyboard. For a moment, I felt something almost like grief. Not for Diane, for my father, because there was no way he did not know. He might not have clicked the buttons, but he lived in the same house, watched the same screens glow at night, heard the same printer whir. His silence was not ignorance. It was consent by cowardice. I downloaded every file. I saved every timestamp. I took screenshots of the approval page, the pending disbursement, the personal details. Then I changed the password again, locked Diane out, and turned on two-factor authentication so every attempt would ping my phone. I made a folder on my laptop and named it Evidence. Then I did something else, something small, something that made my pulse slow back down. I opened my phone settings and checked my email forwarding rules. There was a new one, created recently, sending any message with the words loan, bank, verification, or approval to an address I did not recognize. Diane had been intercepting my warnings. That was the first micro twist, and it hit harder than the inquiry, because it meant she was not just stealing. She was managing me, shaping what I could see, controlling my reality the way she used to control that notebook. I deleted the forwarding rule. I changed my email password. I logged out of every device. 2 days later, Diane called me. Her voice poured honey through the speaker. "Raina, sweetheart, I am so glad I caught you. We found the perfect little lake place. Your father is so excited. It feels like a fresh start for all of us." I let her talk. I listened to the confidence in her breath, like she was already sitting on that porch, already spending my money in her head. "There is just one tiny thing," she said. "The bank needs a quick signature from you on a release form. It clears up a little credit issue so we can close." Credit issue? She meant the inquiry she created. She was trying to sell me the cure to the poison she fed me. I kept my voice flat. "When is the closing?" "Thursday," she said quickly, like she had been waiting for me to ask. 2 in the afternoon. Downtown. It will be fast, in and out. Your father really needs this, Raina. He is stressed." That was the second micro twist. She did not ask for money. She asked for my presence, for my pen, for my body in a room where my signature could be harvested again, except this time it would be on a mortgage that could chain me for decades. I looked at the evidence folder on my screen. I could have confronted her. I could have screamed. But screaming is what people do when they are trying to win a feeling. I was trying to win a result. I breathed in, slow, steady, like I was about to step into a trauma bay. "I will be there," I said. Diane sounded relieved, almost giddy. "I knew you would come through. You always do." I ended the call and stared at my uniform hanging in the locker, perfectly pressed, waiting. Diane thought I had agreed to be used. My father probably thought I was coming to save them again. They did not understand that I had just said yes to the trap, because I planned to close it from the outside. Hold up, small pause. I am human, and editing these can get lonely. Your comments are my proof that these stories reach real people. Like, subscribe, and comment where you are watching from. All right, back to it. I opened my laptop, pulled up flight options, and booked the earliest one that got me home with time to sit in that closing room and watch Diane lie with a pen in her hand. The confirmation email landed in my inbox before the adrenaline had even finished leaving my hands. I stared at the airline logo, the neat little itinerary, the polite language that made it sound like I was taking a normal trip for normal reasons. I was not. I shut the laptop and sat very still, listening to the barracks settle around me. A shower running down the hall. Someone laughing at a video. The clack of boots on tile. Ordinary life humming along while my stepmother tried to weld my name onto a debt I never asked for. I opened my phone again and did the next thing on my checklist. Credit freeze. Not later. Not tomorrow. Now. I locked down all 3 bureaus, added a fraud alert, and set my accounts to require verbal passcodes for any changes. The process felt strangely familiar, like tapping an artery and tightening the wrap until the bleeding stops. Simple pressure. Relentless follow-through. Then my phone buzzed. A text from my father. Please do not make this difficult. Diane is stressed. Just sign what they need so we can move forward. I read it twice. My chest went hollow in a way that had nothing to do with money. That message was not from a man who thought I was wrong. It was from a man who wanted peace more than truth. I did not answer. Instead, I pulled up my email again and searched my sent folder for anything Diane could have used as fake permission. Old messages, family threads, anything where I had been too polite, too forgiving. I found one from years ago, a simple reply to a holiday plan where I had written, "I trust you, Dad. Handle it." My stomach tightened. That sentence, innocent in context, could be twisted into a weapon in the right hands. Diane loved twisting things. She did it with words, with silence, with the way she could turn a room against you without raising her voice. I forwarded that email to myself, saved it into my evidence folder, and added a note beneath it in a plain text file. Do not let them reframe. Context matters. My next stop was the legal assistance office on base. The waiting room smelled like burnt coffee and printer toner. A tired television played a news channel with the volume low. People sat with folders in their laps, faces pulled tight with problems they could not talk about freely. When my name was called, I walked into a small office where a captain in uniform looked up from his desk. He had kind eyes, the kind that had seen people unravel and still believed in paperwork. "Tell me what is happening," he said. I slid my laptop across the desk and opened the lender portal screenshots. The loan approval page, the audit trail, the internet address, the email forwarding rule, the timestamp. My deployment orders that proved I was nowhere near that house when the signature was applied. He did not react dramatically. He did not swear. He just leaned closer, jaw tightening in a slow, controlled way. "This is identity theft," he said finally. "And if they used your information to push funds into a real estate transaction, it becomes much bigger. Here is what you are going to do. You are going to file an identity theft report through the federal process. You are going to file a local police report in their jurisdiction. And you are going to notify the lender in writing, not by phone, that the application is fraudulent and that you have supporting evidence." I nodded, calm on the outside, a tight wire on the inside. He lifted a finger like he was stopping me from stepping into traffic. "Do not threaten them. Do not argue. Do not tell them you have the evidence. Let them keep moving the way they planned. People who think they are winning make mistakes on the record." That was exactly what my body had already decided to do. Hearing it from someone official made it feel less like vengeance and more like procedure. Before I left, he printed a short letter on letterhead stating that I was an active duty service member currently stationed away from my home state, and that any alleged signatures or agreements made in person during that period should be treated with suspicion. He stamped it, signed it, and handed it to me like a shield. Back in my room, I filed the federal report, attached the timeline, and saved the confirmation. I drafted a clean, emotionless notice to the lender's fraud department. I wrote it the way I wrote incident reports. Facts, dates, attachments, no insults, no grief, just truth neatly packaged. Then I did something Diane would never expect from me. I called my aunt, my father's sister, the only adult in that family who had ever looked Diane in the eye without flinching. She picked up on the second ring. "Honey, you sound tired." I almost laughed at how easy it was for her to hear it. I told her everything, but I kept my voice steady. The inquiry, the portal, the loan, the email rule, the closing on Thursday. There was a long silence. Then she said, low and flat, she did this before. My hand tightened around the phone. Before. Your father begged me not to say anything, my aunt continued. Years ago, Diane tried to use his name for a line of credit. He said it was a misunderstanding. He paid it off quietly. He thought if he kept the peace, she would stop. My throat burned, not with surprise, with confirmation. So he knew what she was capable of. He just chose to let the next person be me. My aunt exhaled. I am sorry, Raina. I am telling you now because you need to know the pattern. She will swear she is the victim. She will cry and say you are attacking the family. Do not bite. Do not react. I promised her I would not. After we hung up, I sat on the edge of my bunk and stared at my hands. I had used these hands to hold pressure on wounds, to keep people alive, to lift stretchers, to tie tourniquets. And yet the deepest wound I could feel right then was not physical. It was the realization that my father's loyalty had a price tag, and Diane had been paying it for years. The night before my flight, I barely slept. My phone stayed face down on the mattress like a loaded weapon. Every buzz made my pulse twitch. In the morning, I boarded the plane in my uniform, not for attention, but because it changed how people treated me. It made strangers polite. It made officials careful. Diane loved rooms where she could control the story. I was walking into her favorite kind of room, so I brought a version of myself she could not easily smear. After I landed, I rented a small car and drove to a modest hotel near the airport. The lobby had a bowl of free mints and a front desk clerk who did not look up from his screen. Perfect. Anonymous. Safe. In the privacy of the room, I laid everything out on the bed. Printed screenshots, audit logs, my orders, the letter from legal assistance, the federal report confirmation, a copy of my credit freeze notice. I slid it all into a plain folder with no label, then sealed it inside a large envelope like it was evidence going to a lab. My phone rang that night. Diane. I let it ring until it stopped. Then my father called. I let that ring too. Silence was not weakness anymore. It was a boundary with teeth. Thursday arrived with gray skis and a cold wind that cut through my coat. I drove downtown and parked across from the building Diane had named. A local credit union, not a fancy title company. The kind of place with community posters in the window and a small flag outside that snapped in the breeze. I sat in the car for a moment and watched people walk in and out. Couples holding folders. A man carrying a toddler on his hip. A woman in a cardigan sipping a coffee. Nobody looked like a criminal. That was the point. Most harm comes wrapped in normal. I walked in, asked for the mortgage office, and followed a hallway that smelled like carpet cleaner. A receptionist smiled and told me to have a seat. Then Diane came around the corner, and my stomach did the same cold flip it always did when I saw her. She was dressed like success. Cream blazer, gold earrings, hair smooth, makeup perfect. She looked like a woman who believed the world owed her a soft landing. My father trailed behind her like a shadow with a pulse. His face was pale, eyes tired, mouth already set an apology he would never say out loud. Diane spotted me and her smile widened. There she is, my hero. I smiled back, small and controlled, the kind of smile that gives nothing away. The loan officer stepped out next, and my pulse jumped for a different reason. I recognized him, not personally, but by his posture and his easy familiarity with Diane. He greeted her with a first-name laugh, like they had shared dinners, like they had rehearsed this. That was the third micro twist. Diane had not just set a trap, she had recruited the room. We were led into a small conference office with a glass window facing the hallway, a camera in one corner, a notary stamp sitting on the desk like a quiet threat. The loan officer introduced himself as Carter. He spoke too fast, too friendly, already trying to make it feel like a celebration. Diane leaned forward, hands clasped. We are so grateful you could squeeze us in. This means everything to our family. My father said nothing, not one word. His silence was so practiced it felt like part of the paperwork. Carter slid a stack of documents across the table. All right, let us finalize the disclosures and verify the source of funds. Standard stuff, just initials and signatures. Diane picked up the pen like she had been waiting her whole life for it. I kept my hands folded in my lap, still composed, watching the ink hover over the first line as the room tightened around us. Carter cleared his throat and tapped a page with his fingernail like he was pointing out a menu item. This section is just confirming the down payment. $50,000 in escrow, not borrowed, not a gift requiring repayment. You are certifying it is from your personal savings. Diane's eyes did not flicker. She signed with a smooth, practiced stroke. Her handwriting looked confident, almost pretty. The kind of signature people put on Christmas cards and wedding guest books, not federal forms. Carter slid the next page to my father. Grayson's hand hovered, trembling. His eyes darted to mine for half a second, then away. Diane pressed her knee into his under the table, not hard, just enough to remind him who keeps the peace in that house. He signed. The sound of the pen on paper made something inside me go still. Not numb, focused, like the moment before I make an incision. Carter smiled, satisfied, and pushed the next stack toward me. All right, Raina, we just need your signature on the quitclaim and the occupancy disclosure. It is quick. Then we can get you all out of here. Diane turned to me with that same smile she wore at dinner when she called my money family security. Sweet, expectant, certain I would play my part. I did not reach for the pen. Instead, I opened my bag and placed a sealed envelope on the desk between Carter and the notary. The paper made a soft thump, but it might as well have been a door slamming. Carter blinked. What is that? I kept my voice level. It is documentation that the loan application connected to my identity is fraudulent, and that the funds being presented as a down payment are tied to identity theft. Diane let out a short laugh, sharp and forced. Oh my God, she is being dramatic. Raina, stop, we talked about this. You are stressed from work. I did not look at Diane. I looked at Carter because I was not here to win a family argument. I was here to make the right person feel personally responsible. Please open it, I said. The first page is a notarized affidavit filed through the federal identity theft process. The second is the lender portal audit trail showing the electronic signature originated from a static internet address registered to this household. The third is my active duty documentation, proving I was deployed out of state and out of country at the time of the signature. The notary's posture changed. She sat up straighter, lips parting slightly as if she had suddenly tasted something sour. Carter hesitated, then tore the envelope open. His smile drained away as he flipped through the pages, eyes scanning faster and faster. Diane's face tightened. She leaned forward, voice rising in a fake little giggle. Carter, seriously, this is a misunderstanding. Families get weird sometimes. She is not used to sharing, you know. She has always been very controlling about money. I turned my head slowly and looked at Diane for the first time. The calm in my chest did not crack. Sharing is voluntary, I said. Theft is not. Grayson made a small sound, like he wanted to speak, but Diane cut him off with a glance. Carter swallowed. His eyes landed on the audit trail and stopped. He looked up at me, then at Diane, then back down again. The room felt like it lost oxygen. The notary spoke first, voice quiet. If there is an allegation of fraud, I cannot notarize any part of this transaction. Carter nodded stiffly. We need to pause. Immediately, I have to notify compliance. Diane's smile snapped, the way a rubber band snaps when you pull it too far. What are you doing? She turned on Carter. You cannot do that. We are in the middle of closing. She is lying because she is jealous. Carter's eyes were no longer friendly. Ma'am, if these documents are real, this is not a personal dispute. This is potential bank fraud. Diane stood so abruptly her chair scraped the floor. She pointed at me like I was a criminal in the street. You ungrateful little girl. After everything we did for you, the roof we gave you, the food, the bills, you owe us. There it was, the ledger, spoken out loud like a confession. I stayed seated. My voice remained low. Say that again, Diane. Tell him what I owe you. Diane's chest rose and fell hard. She was breathing like rage was fuel. I did not owe her fear. I did not owe her silence, but I did owe myself proof. She leaned toward Carter. I tracked what she cost us. Her school, her clothes, her heat and water. Her father paid, but it was my house. My rules. She has been paying us back for years, she just does not like being reminded. Carter's face went blank, the way people look when they realize they have been invited into a crime scene. I slid one more page forward, a printout I had saved from my email audit. It showed the forwarding rule Diane created to intercept bank messages. Carter stared at it, then looked at the notary. His voice turned clipped. I am terminating this appointment. I am freezing the file pending investigation. I need both of you to remain here while I contact the branch manager. Diane's eyes widened, and for the first time I saw fear on her. Real fear, not the performative stress she used to manipulate my father. This was the fear of consequences. She spun toward me. You did this on purpose. You set me up. I tilted my head slightly. No, I let you keep talking. Diane grabbed her purse and bolted for the door. Carter barked, "Ma'am, do not leave." Diane ignored him. Grayson half rose, torn between chasing her and staying seated like a man who had finally realized there was no good option left. I stood calmly because I knew what Diane would do next. She would try to snatch the folder, destroy the pages, make the truth disappear the way she used to delete email notifications before I could see them. The hallway outside the glass window reflected us like a stage. People walked past, glancing in. The camera in the corner watched everything. Diane lunged back into the room, eyes wild, claws out, reaching for the envelope on the desk. I moved once, not fast, efficient. I caught her wrist and redirected her momentum, turning her body away from the desk and pinning her arm in a controlled, non-lethal hold I had practiced 100 times for combative patience. I kept my grip firm but not cruel. Her breath turned into a high, frantic hiss. Let go, let go. I leaned close enough that only she could hear me, voice quiet, steady. This is a boundary. You do not cross it anymore. The door opened behind us and 2 security guards stepped in. Carter stood with them, face pale. She attacked me, I said, releasing Diane the moment the guards were close enough to take over. I defended myself. The camera will confirm it. Diane started screaming that I was violent, that I was unstable, that I was ruining her life. But the guards had already seen the hold, the direction of her body, the way she had lunged first. They escorted her out. Grayson did not follow. He sat back down slowly, like his bones were suddenly heavier. His eyes were wet, but he still did not speak. I looked at him for a long moment. I waited for him to say, "I am sorry." I waited for him to say, "I did not know." I waited for any sentence that would make me believe there was a father left under all that fear. He only whispered, "Raina, please." I nodded once, like I had heard him, like I had filed the word away. Then I gathered my papers and sealed the envelope again. Outside, the air felt colder, cleaner. I sat in my car and did not cry. I just opened my phone and blocked both numbers. Then I blocked the landline. Then any cousins who might call to guilt me. I did it without anger, like locking doors before bed. Weeks later, I got the notice that the lender had filed a suspicious activity report. An investigator called me to confirm details. The police report went through. Diane's attempted mortgage became a paper trail. The email forwarding rule became intent. The assault became a charge. The audit trail became a map straight back to her hands. My aunt called one evening and told me Diane had been arrested after trying the same move with another relative, thinking she could still outrun it. She could not. The pattern caught up to her. My father emailed me once from a new address. It was a long message about stress, about love, about how Diane meant well, about how families forgive. He attached a photo of my childhood dog, old and gray, like nostalgia was a leash he could pull. I did not reply with rage. I replied with one attachment. A copy of the restraining order, stamped and final. Now I sit in my small apartment with clean counters and a locked mailbox. My savings account is boring. My credit is frozen. My email has no secret forwarding rules. I sleep through the night without my phone buzzing like an alarm. And the last thing Diane ever heard from me was not a scream, not an insult, not a plea. It was the quiet sound of her own lies turning into handcuffs,